Hello and welcome back to my world of stuff. It's time for a retro movie review. I haven't done one for a while. I think the last one I did was Dracula's Daughter a few months ago. I want to bring this feature back as part of the regeneration of this channel, which is coming up in the next few episodes. But I'm going to watch a film today. Reason being, it is April the 25th, 2024. It's grey, it's miserable, it looks boring out there. I've got no particular plans today, so I thought I would catch up with a film. And regarding the weather, if somebody out there's got any connections or any contacts, can you have a word and tell them to turn the sun on, please? That would be nice. Thanks, Babs. Right, film I'm going to watch today is this one. Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice. I'm watching this. I picked this up in a charity shop yesterday for about 30p, I think it was. I don't actually know if I've already got it. I may well have. I haven't checked my DVD collection to see if I've got it. But I picked this up. It was actually new and sealed. And the new Beetlejuice is coming out sometime later this year, I think it is. I've only seen Beetlejuice once, and I wasn't hugely excited by it. It didn't do a lot for me. However, that was 30-odd years ago. Tastes change and mature. So I thought I'd have another look at it. In particular, as I said, excuse me, I've got crumbs on me. Particularly because the new one is on its way, and I want to just remind myself what happened in the first one. So I'm going to spend 95 minutes this morning, 92 minutes in fact, less with the credits, in the company of Tim Burton's Beetlejuice. I'll see you after this. Welcome back. So that was Beetlejuice. I haven't seen Beetlejuice since about 1990, early 1990s perhaps. It came out in 1998. It was Tim Burton's second film, really, second big film after Pee-wee's Big Adventure a few years before, which had made him sort of a bankable director. And he managed to get this film before the cameras a few years later. As I said, I'd not seen it since the early 1990s, and I remember not being hugely impressed or ever so slightly irritated by it. So bearing in mind that it is coming up to 40 years since I've seen it, certainly 30 odd years. Watched it again now, mainly in preparation for the sequel Beetlejuice, which is finally coming out in September this year. It's the second in what they're calling the Beetlejuice franchise. Yeah, right. What did I think of Beetlejuice this time around? It was okay. It was all right. I mean, I still don't get the devotion that the film seems to inspire. It is a film that people seem to really like. And I'm not sure I really get that because it is very random. It's all over the place. I mean, Tim Burton's a very unique director anyway. He's very imaginative. I mean, it's a massively imaginative film. The stuff on screen, it doesn't stop throwing ideas at the screen. And some of them land and some of them don't. But overall, it's pretty entertaining. What surprised me is how little Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice is actually in it. He doesn't appear properly until about 45 minutes in. And then he sort of appears randomly throughout it. But when he's there, he certainly makes his presence felt. The story, for those of you who don't know, a young couple of Maitlands, played by Adam Baldwin and Gina Davis, are looking forward to spending a couple of weeks renovating this rather psycho-like house that they own in Connecticut. Unfortunately, their plans are interrupted somewhat when they're killed. Their car, avoiding a dog in the road, crashes into the river and they're drowned. We don't actually see them drowning. Next thing we see is them returning to the house, wet, thinking, whew, that was close. And then realising slowly that they're actually dead. They find a book called The Book of the Recently Deceased. And they realise that they're now ghosts. There are some amusing ideas in terms of the afterlife, which is depicted as this rather static civil service organisation that processes ghosts, sitting in waiting rooms, so on, reflecting that idea of bureaucracy, slow-moving bureaucracy, and so on. The house, meanwhile, is now owned by a new family called the Dietzes, who consist of Catherine O'Hara, Jeffrey Thomas, and a very young Winona Ryder. They come into the house, they plan to renovate it. The Maitlands, as ghosts, are told that they can't leave the house, that they're stuck in the house for 125 years. When they try to leave the house, they plunge into this nightmare hellscape of sandworms and strange creatures and the strange alien hostile landscape. So they have to stay in the house for 125 years, and they set about haunting it and trying to force the new family out. The new family, of course, are largely oblivious of them, apart from Lydia, Winona Ryder's character. She's the sort of goth-type schoolgirl who has a certain empathy, and thus she can see the ghosts. The Dietzes plan to renovate the house. There's a plan to sort of turn the whole area into almost like a theme park, which the Maitlands don't really agree with. They are warned off sort of a bioexorcist character called Beetlejuice, who, if he's unleashed upon the world, will cause chaos. He's played by Michael Keaton, and it all rolls along in this extraordinary miasma of bizarre visual effects, completely random storyline, and for me, Danny Elfman's score, which undermines the whole thing in a way. He has an ability to sort of add a bit of menace and a bit of humour to his scores, but this is very much a sort of oompa score, which underlines everything. So when it is trying to be dark, that sort of spoils it a little bit because the music is so light. It's a hard film to categorise, really, because it's a comedy. It's more of a comedy than anything else, I suppose. It's not a horror film, but there are some quite dark images in it. And bearing in mind it was made in 1988, it has some quite interesting visual effects. Tim Burton, I was reading up on it, Tim Burton wanted it to seem a bit homespun. He wanted it to seem a bit shonky. So you've got all sorts of stuff in here. You've got some very good prosthetic work. You've got what looks like almost early CGI sort of stuff. You've got a lot of stop motion, which works quite well, apart from one or two scenes which look like something out of The Tomorrow People or Doctor Who in the early 70s. It's a mix and a mishmash of odd visual things. But what I will say about it, it's never boring. There's something going on all the time. The screen is alive with colour and ideas and madcap things and zany characters. I didn't love it, and I still don't connect with it in the way that many of his fans do. But I think I can understand a bit better why they like it now, because it is unlike anything else that was around at the time in terms of its story and its wackiness. And it's hard to imagine now that it was greenlit, because it is so off the wall and it's so random and left field that it's hard to see how it fitted into that sort of late 1980s Hollywood landscape. But it did very well. It was massively successful. It was a $50 million budget. In America alone, it made $75 million, so it was a big hit. So it is a bit odd that it's taken this long for the sequel to come along. And there was a sequel, Beetlejuice, in Hawaii, I think it was going to be called, which was supposed to go into production a few years later. That fell by the wayside. And now we've got this sequel, Beetlejuice again, directed by Tim Burton and with returning cast members. I think Catherine O'Hara is back, Winona Ryder is back, and Jenna Ortega is joining the cast. Of course, she's worked recently on Wednesday, Tim Burton's TV series for Netflix. So all in all, I thought it was quite entertaining. It's a short film. It's less than 90 minutes with the credits. But it's not boring. It rattles along. It didn't connect with me, as I said. It didn't connect in the way that it did with the fans at the time. But I think that's probably because if you were a fan of it at the time, if it worked for you at the time, it will have worked for you then. But I think it's one of those films that you watch it now, it probably won't work the same way. You'll probably find it as a curiosity, as a bit of an oddity. Michael Keaton himself is full of energy. I remember, the only thing I can remember from watching it back in the day is that I found Michael Keaton's performance irritating. And I think possibly because the style of acting and style of performance, the style of storytelling has changed so much over the years. We see a lot more vibrant, madcap energy on screen these days. So I think it seems less anachronistic or less out of its time now than it might have done at the time when it was a bit in your face. Now it seems a bit more in tune with what we see these days. So all in all, I thought it was quite entertaining. I can't say that the sequel is high on my must-see list of the year, but I will go and see it, obviously. Especially now I've seen the first one. I'll be interested to see what they do with the story all these years later. My main take from this film is how imaginative it is visually. It's gorgeously colourful. The effects are pretty good for what they are. Some of them are willfully and purposely shonky, but the ideas are on the screen, and it's symptomatic of a director who is willing to try anything And as I said, not all of it works, but when it does, it's joyous, really. So yeah, it's a good film. So I've revised my 1990s opinion of it, and it certainly changed my expectations, because when I put it on this morning, I thought, oh, I don't know, I didn't like this last time, but I did quite like it this time. So that's Beetlejuice, the first in a new retro movie review strand on this channel. There's more coming soon. Beetlejuice, I will give Beetlejuice 6.5 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10, which I think is fair enough. It didn't blow me away, but it didn't irritate me as I thought it probably would. It's available on DVD, I'm sure. I don't know if it's on a streaming service. I don't know what other physical media it's available on, but I saw it in a charity shop yesterday for about 20, 30p, sealed. And I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. That's Beetlejuice. Thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this video, and I can't see any reason why you wouldn't, to be honest, why not like and subscribe? Subscribers are stubbornly stuck. I haven't moved for a while, so but nice to get some more bodies on board. So just press that button there. Press the subscribe button. You might as well. It doesn't cost you anything. You don't even have to watch the videos. But like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Share, tell your friends. I'll see you soon. Until I do, keep taking the stuff.